A fiend sometimes wandered the wilderness of a certain prime world in the guise of a friendly old man. One day he came upon some hunters in the wood. "What are you doing?" the fiend asked. The hunters told him, and the fiend nodded. "I have never been on a hunt before." The hunters invited the old man to come along, and the group eventually came upon a glade where several deer were grazing. The hunters carried crossbows but did not fire, and the fiend asked them why. "They are unarmed," the hunters chuckled, patting their crossbows. "We hunt nothing that does not have the ability to defend itself. After all, where is the sport in that?" The fiend nodded at this and promptly gated in 3 of his fellows. The hunters led them on a merry chase, but eventually they were caught and eaten. Another one, okay. Let's see if... What about Anna? Do you have a story? "Aye, I'm no good at telling such things, I'm not." She frowns and waves her hands as if trying to shoo away the idea. "Don't you be asking me for such nonsense now." But I'd very much like to. Please share your story, Anna. "Come on already, fiendling. You already have one tail you won't part with." Hey. Anna looks uncomfortable, her tail lashing slowly back and forth. "Well, I know one story." She suddenly becomes angry, glaring at Eves. "But you might not like it, you won't. So don't be blaming me for you choking it out of me." Go ahead, Anna. Anna scowls and finally relents with an exasperated sigh. "I heard a story when I was a wee lass. This Burke's walking home real late, near Anti-Peak, and passes an old toothless crone in a dark and otherwise empty street. 'Where you going?' she asks him. Go on. 'Home to me wife and Kip,' he says. 'Near the slag?' she asks him. 'Sure enough,' he says. So she asks him a favour, to take a box she's got to Dead's Pit and give it to the woman there. Now this Burke's a real sap, too nice to say no despite the fact he's sure something's not quite right about this old crone and agrees. 'But what's the woman's name?' he asks, 'and where does she live? Where shall I look for her if she's not by Dead's Pit?' The woman hands him the box, a wooden thing wrapped in coloured cloth, and tells him just to go, and she'll be there. Finally she warns him, 'And whatever you does, do not open the box.' So he takes it home with him and hides it in the rafters, thinking he'll bring it by Dead's Pit when it's light out. His wife, though, seeing him hiding the box, gets right jealous, thinking it's a gift for a lover or something, and opens it up as soon as he's not looking. Oh dear. Well, turns out the box was full of gouged out eyes and severed male members with the hair still on him. A scream brought the Burke running. He remembered what the crone said, got right scared, and wrapped the box back up. He went out straightway to Dead's Pit, and sure enough there was another old hag waiting there for him. He hands her the box and she says to him, 'This box has been opened and looked into.' The poor Burke tries to deny it, but she gets this dreadful look on her face. 'You've done something horrible,' she tells him, then disappears. That done, he hurries back to his Kip. What's happened to his wife? He's feeling ill when he gets back and takes to bed. His wife bitterly regretting opening the box and all, but it was too late. The next day he died of a rotten disease, and the first things to go was his eyes and stem. Anna nods grimly, her tale complete. Eve smiles. 'That was a wonderful tale, Anna. You should never hesitate to share it.' Actually, I think Anna was right to hesitate, but whatever. Now I've one for you and your companion, the Parched Land. Once, a large village was struck by a terrible drought. A farmer journeyed to the worshipping stone and again implored it as to the cause of the drought. He asked the stone why it did nothing when the fields were parched and dying, why the animals and the people suffered while the stone did not a thing. 'Have we not given enough offerings?' the farmer asked, begging almost upon his hands and knees. But the stone did not respond. It merely sat and cast its shadow. Dakon, do you have a story? Dakon nods solemnly. 'I shall impart the tale of Akali drowning.' Dakon tells the story of Akali, a foolish Githzerai of myth who had become lost in the chaos of limbo. Normally, a single Githzerai may use their focus and mental discipline to form the chaos around them into a small, habitable environment. Akali, however, asked so many useless and unfocused questions in her quest to return home that her isle of matter dissolved around her and she drowned. Eve smiles. 'Fascinating, Dakon. Let me share with you and your companion another version of your tale that I have heard.' Dakon looks attentive and perhaps a little surprised. Okay, go on. Eve goes on to tell a different version of Dakon's tale, in which Akali was driven from the Githzerai city of Shurkatlor for her constant useless prattling. One day she encountered a Slardy on his way to the spawning stone. She hastily erected a wall of chaos matter, which even the ravenous Slardy found difficult to break down. Hungrily, it waited and spoke to her through the wall. She asked it questions, and as she became more absorbed in her pointless queries and the Slardy's answers, her own wall decayed and collapsed upon her, and thus she drowned in the matter of limbo. Do you have another tale? Tell the story of waking up in the mortuary, then. Eves leans forward as you tell the tale of your waking up. I shall remember this tale. I too will tell the tale of the dustman, chapters of dust. I wonder how many things I get. Yeah, I think you get little bits of experience for each story you get out of her. Ooh, that means if we get new people, they can tell their story. Maybe we get more stuff from that. Ooh, more stories. Yay, stories. There are chapters in the Dead Book, the massive tome which the dustmen keep that records the passing of all that lives into the eternal boundary. In this book there are chapters that are naught but dust, and it is believed that the names therein are lost souls who cannot die, but must suffer life eternally until history itself dies and grants them release. The Alley of Lingering Sighs, that's the one that kind of gave birth, isn't it? Eves leans forward. As you tell the tale of the alley giving birth, she seems to devour your every word. As you finish, she smiles at you. I shall remember this tale, and now I have one for you. Before I begin, I must ask, do you know what a modron is? No. Modrons are creatures of total law, almost more machinery than living things. There are many different sorts of modron, but all have their place in a very rigid, carefully organised hierarchy. So dedicated are they to this system, they cannot communicate with or even consider the existence of modrons who are not their immediate superiors or inferiors. I understand. Shall you tell the clock and the quadrone? Go on. Once upon a time, there existed a modron. Once upon a time. It was newly created, its logic fresh and untested, and it had come to Sigil, following the commands of its modron superiors. Go on. It knew of nothing but commands and dictates of obedience, and passing along the orders of its superiors. For you see, modrons are only aware of the commands of their immediate superiors. They have no grasp of a higher authority until this one. Go on. One day it came upon a small shop, within which there was a small clock that could no longer tell the time. It was cracked along the edges, the wheels of its hands broken. The modron immediately set itself to work at getting the parts to fix the broken clock. Okay. It made a new wooden housing for the clock's parts, replaced the bent springs, carefully filled and oiled the clockwork machinery, and carved new hands from the sparse metal available to it. The newly repaired clock's precise ticking reminded it of the great gears of Mechanus, and it comforted it as much as anything may comfort a modron. And what the modron never came to understand was that it truly loved this clock that it had worked on, and for reasons it could not explain, elected to remain in Sigil and be with the clock for the rest of its years. Okay. Another tale. Farad. Eves leans forward to tell the tale of the fall of Farad. She seems to devour your every word. As you finish, she smiles at you. I shall remember this tale, and now I have one for you. Go on. Once came a man who had experienced the most beautiful thing in the multiverse. It was intention to place the experience within one of the Civic Festival's sensory stones, magical devices which held feelings and memories for an eternity, leaving them for others to partake of. But he thought about it. Wouldn't its being shared dilute the experience? So he held it to himself, precious thing that it was, and aged with the memory. But as he aged, the memory became tarnished and beaten, and he could no longer recall the glory of the experience. I don't think we've got anyone else. Let me ask you a question. Okay. What are you doing here? What you tell me about the silent prostitute? I once heard the tale of a girl who knew the word that, if spoken, would undo the multiverse. Perhaps this is Echo. Ask Delora, though. I understand that she sometimes meets with one who knew Echo before she stopped speaking. Okay. Vivian sent. Speak with Nenny. She's over pacing around. The Crimson Veil. But Marissa's an interesting girl. Ooh. Go ahead. Once upon a time, in a world of heroes and a time of petty childish gods, there were 3 sisters. One of them was Medusa. I can't remember the other 2 names. Those 2 are actually cursed with immortality, as well as being Gorgons. Cursed with a hideous appearance, they were considered demons by the people of the land and forever shunned. One missed her sisters terribly, yet left that world with its shame behind, but exchanged the pettiness of a pantheon for the pettiness of self. Okay. Never mind.
I'm gone.
Right, let's go and talk to Delora then. Who was Vivian? Oh no, Vivian's the one who were looking for the thing. Looking for her scent, her perfume. This dark-haired, it's white, pale-skinned, okay, woman has a cultured, refined look about her. As she turns to you, you note that her eyes, which you'd previously thought to be grey, are the colour of brushed steel. Which is grey. Greetings. The woman's voice is soft, calm, without inflection. There's a certain far-away quality, as if somehow not attached to her. Greetings. I am called Delora. May I serve you somehow? What ways can you serve? She blinks her eyes and touches her hand to her heart, but bowing her head slightly. I am able to debate any scholarly or academic matter quite proficiently, if that is your wish. I am also well versed in various games of strategy, should you wish to play something, though I have the materials for few such games here. Debate, you say? That is correct. I am neither a tome nor a tutor. I have no desire to educate my patrons. Should you have a matter to discuss, however, the 15 factions and their effect on Sigillian politics, the most effective battle stratagems for warring in Acheron, the meaning of existence itself, I would be most pleased to choose a counterpoint and engage you in debate. Ooh, choose a topic, see if we can beat her. You choose a topic and begin. The debate lasts a long time as the two of you exchange points and counterpoints, each attempting to methodically undermine the other's position as you speak. A strange feeling begins to come over you, a memory trying to surface. Allow it to surface. I don't know why you're trying to repress it. Memories of a great hall begin to form in your mind, a vast place, full of well-dressed elites. A formal ball was taking place. Before you was a small, impeccably dressed fellow who wore a golden medallion. It was emblazoned with a symbol you dimly recall as the sign of one. The two of you stood in a circle of onlookers who've gathered to listen to your debate. But that's impossible, the man was saying, looking perplexed. Oh, but it is, you recall yourself replying. I've made several inarguable points and given you a number of examples. You simply don't exist. But you can't. Were I to accept that, I'd... Yes, you'd cease to exist. And without a flash of light or puff of smoke, with no fanfare of any sort, the man was simply gone. The onlookers oohed and ahed, some clapped. You remember giving a flourishing bow and walking away. A small, satisfied smile upon your lips. I've basically just killed a man. I killed a man through the power of philosophy. I thought you'd only do that by being bored from watching my videos. You suddenly realise Delora is watching you closely. Are you feeling well? Oh no. Are you feeling well? We might finish our discussion at another time, should you like. No, let's continue the debate. As hard-pressed as you are to beat Delora's infallible sense of logic, you eventually win out. She merely nods in approval. You are a most skilled debater. This there is no denying. I do feel, though, that had I time to perform some research, you might not have bested me. Thanks. If you would like, we can debate once more upon the same topic. I could argue your position this time, should you desire it. Desire it? Are you always so ruthless in a debate? Delora nods. Mistress Grace instructed me to show no mercy. For another of her students always allows a patron to win after a lengthy debate. It was Mistress Grace's desire that I prove a different sort of experience for the clientele. Well, could we play a game? Of course. Is there anything in particular you wish to play? No, I don't really remember any games. Here then, allow me to show you one. Delora brings out a thin, lacquered box, which unfolds into a small board marked with a grid. The contents of the box prove to be a number of polished stone chips, half of them black, half of them white. Sounds like drafts then. This game goes by many names. Shall I explain the rules to you? Yes, please. Delora explains to you the rules of the game, how the chips are moved, how one bests one opponent. It seems somehow faintly familiar to you. The rules are simple, yes, but a great deal of complexity lies within the game itself. It takes a great deal of time to master. Shall we play? Yes. As you play, you come to realize that you've done so before. You recall various ploys and strategies that have won you previous games and employ every trick you know to beat her. Suddenly, a strange feeling comes over you. Another memory trying to surface. Memories of a smoke-filled field of battle begin to fill your mind. Atop a great hill overlooking the fighting, you sat, mounted upon a massive four-legged beast. The braying of horns carried your orders to the troops below. Even as you watched, your forces divided, fleeing left and right as the foreign army fought its way up the hill to slay the enemy lord. You. The fools, you had thought, lips curling into a wicked smile. My knights shall charge down the hillside and stop their advance in an instant, and at that very moment my retreating footmen will fall in to crush their flanks. Ah, yet another victory soon to be mine. You suddenly realize Delora is watching you intently. Are you sure you are feeling well? We could take up the game another day if you so wish. No, let's continue. Delora plays excellently, counteracting all but your most crafty moves, but eventually your feints and calculating maneuvers win over her well-crafted strategies. She nods approvingly as she begins to put the game away. You are a fine player, perhaps a master. I commend you for your skill. You always play so mercilessly. Not to hold anything back. Alright, Mistress Grace instructed me to hold nothing back, for another of her students plays so that her opponent will always just manage a win. It was Mistress Grace's desire that I provide a different sort of experience, a true challenge rather than something that might be more pleasing to one's ego. Some questions. Delora casts her eyes to the floor with a sound that might be a sad sigh. I am willing to serve you as a patron, but have no wish to answer other questions at this time. My apologies, but I fear you shall simply have to bear with that for the time being. Anything I can help with?
Updated my journal.
She looks up from the floor and into your eyes. Once more, you're struck by the pale smoothness of skin, the cold depths of her silvery eyes. No, I fear not. My troubles are a matter of the heart. In time, I think, all things shall be resolved. Are you certain there's nothing I can do? Certain? Delora pauses as if thinking. No, I am not. My first love, Merriman, possesses still the keys to my heart. So long as he has them, I shan't be free to love another. This is the course of my melancholy. I'll find this Merriman and speak to him on your behalf.
Updated my journal.
Delora nods, the slightest hint of a smile appearing on her lips. She bows her head. Were you to find and speak with Merriman, I would be most grateful. He is a member of the Society of Sensation, so you may wish to ask for him at the Civic Fest Hall. I will return when I find him.
Stronger.
Ooh, level up. You can't multi-class in this game. No, well, you can't. No, what is it? Yeah, multi-class. Dual classing is the one where you split, isn't it? But level up. Yay, more spell memorizing. Ooh, another one of these. More constitution, maybe? It's not going to affect my hit points, which is sad. But I think, yeah, we'll go try and boost my constitution up a little bit. Biography. Never mind. No one else has leveled, have they? How close to people are? You're miles away from leveling. You're really close to leveling up in Fighter, and you're miles away from leveling. Right.
I'm gone.
We are... We should probably try talking to Nenny again. She might have an idea about some of the stuff. It might be that we just need to rummage around people's rooms, but I don't like the idea of doing that. Well met, good sir. I'm Nenny, and how are you this fine day? Oh, we've met before. I'm sorry. I knew you looked familiar, though. Had some questions. What do you know about Echo? Oh, Echo. Yes, she's a mysterious one, isn't she? Do you know that she never speaks? Truly. Nenny leans in and lowers her voice. I think she was emotionally wounded, so badly that she may never speak again. I bet Delora knows, because she sometimes talked to the last lover, blah, blah, blah.